Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Angel and today I'll be sharing some more budget-friendly DIYs. Don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, to leave me a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And now, without further ado, let's jump right into these projects. For this first project, I'll just be using this vase or jar that I picked up at my local thrift store. Now, you can use any jar or vase that you want to use, a Dollar Tree vase or jar. Just make sure that it has a little lip on it. I'm also going to be using this macrame cord. Now, I get my macrame cord from Amazon because I find that it's a better deal, but you can use rope or yarn or twine for this project as well. The first thing I'm going to do is take a piece of my macrame cord and I'm going to measure it out 3 times the length of my jar, whatever jar you're using, 3 times the length, and then you're just going to double that over. That piece of cord is going to be wrapped around the top of your jar and you're just going to tie that in a knot. You don't want the knot to be too tight because you are going to need some space in between that cord and the jar to put your other cords. Then you're going to do the same exact thing again. You're going to measure out a cord that's 3 times the length of whatever jar you're using, and then you're going to double it over, cut that down, and use that piece of string to measure out around 20 strands. I did 20 for my jar. Depending on how large your jar is, you'll just need to make sure that you have an even number on your jar. Now, once you have all your pieces cut down, you're going to go ahead and fold those over and you're going to attach those to the first strand that you have attached to your jar. Now, once you have all of your cords attached to that first cord, you're going to go ahead and group those into 2, leaving a little space in between. And the extra cord from the rope that you have tied around your jar, you're just going to put that down into the jar because you're not going to be using those cords. Now we're just going to start making our square knots. You're going to grab that first group of 4 cords and you're going to start making your square knot. You're going to put the left over the 2 middle, put the right over that one, and then behind the 2 middle ones and through that little hoop. Then you're just going to pull those cords all the way tight to the top. Then to complete the square knot, we're going to do the exact same thing but the opposite side. So you're going to take the right cord, put it over the 2 middle, take that left cord, put it over top of the right cord, behind the 2 middle ones, and through the hoop. Then you're going to pull that tight again. And that completes 1 square knot. Then you're just going to go ahead and complete 2 more of those square knots. And this is how it will look when you are finished. Then you're just going to go ahead and repeat that process all the way around your jar. I did want to go ahead and show you another view of how to do these square knots just in case. I know I've showed making square knots on my channel before, and this knot is super easy. So if you already know how to do this, you can just go ahead and skip this part. But for those who don't, I just wanted to show it again so that everyone could get it. And of course, having my jar sitting up is much easier to make these knots than when I was trying to do it laying down. Now, once you've gone all the way around your jar making those square knots, you're going to come back to the beginning and you're going to take 2 cords from a right strand and 2 cords from your left strand. It's really hard to explain, but you can see here, it's kind of like a fishnet pattern. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to take those 4 cords and you're just going to make another square knot. And the only difference here is we're not going to take that knot all the way to the top. When we make our square knot, we're actually going to leave a small gap in between. Once you have that first square knot made, you're going to go ahead and move over to the next 4 cords and do the same exact thing, leaving that gap in between. You just want to make sure that your knots are kind of in the same spot right next to each other. And again, you're going to do this all the way around your jar. Once you've finished that first row, you're going to go ahead and start your second row. So you're going to grab the 4 cords in between the 2 first knots. And you're going to go ahead and repeat making those square knots all the way around your jar again. Once you finish, you're just going to go ahead and trim off the excess. And then for the final step, I'm just taking out those pieces of cord that we had placed inside the jar, and I'm just going to add some beads to it. I know it may seem like this takes a while, but this jar cover only took me about 10 minutes to make, and I did end up making 2 of them. That smaller jar is actually from Dollar Tree, so you can use this to upgrade any vase or jar that you have. For this next project, I picked up these cute little birds from Dollar Tree. I think they are just absolutely beautiful the way they are, but I thought that these would be perfect to use for a project I've been wanting to do. I want to make some bookends. I'll also be using some of these wood planks from Dollar Tree. These come in a pack of 5 or 6, I believe, but I'm just going to be using 2 of those, and then I'm going to take the third one and I'm going to cut it in half. All I had to do was kind of score these. They're really easy to just snap in half, and I just scored it, broke it, and then I just sanded the ends. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint all of my pieces. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, you know I love this combination. I just mixed up some of my white chalk paint with a little bit of baking soda, and I'm going to paint my birds with 2 coats, and then I'm also going to paint those wood pieces. Once everything was dry, I'm just going to take some of this Folk Art Metallic Antique Gold paint, and I'm going to paint the little beaks on my birds, and I'm also just going to kind of dry brush over these birds. You can kind of see that they have this texture on them, so I'm just very lightly going over that. Then I'm also going to do the same exact thing for my wood pieces. Now I'm going to go ahead and take some Dollar Tree wood glue, and I'm going to start putting those wood pieces together. So I'm just taking one of the longer pieces and attaching it to one of the smaller pieces. Now to help these stand up while they're drying, I'm just using my paint bottles to lean it against. Once that dried, I am going to take some E6000 and I'm going to use that to attach the birds. And here is how my bookends turned out. For the final project, I'll be using 2 of these wood canvas frames. Now you can use any picture frames or any of the wood canvas frames from Dollar Tree, anything you have on hand. These frames are actually from a project I did last year and I'm just reusing them. I like to change out my decor a lot, so it helps that I can reuse things. I'm also going to be using a placemat for this project. I picked this up at my local thrift store. I think it was like 25 cents, but I just thought the texture was so pretty and these would make perfect backings for what I wanted to make. So all I'm doing here is just tracing out a piece for my first frame, and then I'm going to take that piece and just make a second one for the second frame. Then I'm just going to take my hot glue gun and I'm going to attach these to the back of the frame. Now I'm making sure that as I'm gluing these, I am pulling them very tight. And I do want to say that this material is very thick, and that's going to help hold the succulent that I'm going to put on the front of this. Now for the succulent holders, we're going to be using 2 of these wood rings. I get my wood rings on Amazon. They're very cheap. I think I paid $10 for 100 of them. So you can get them there, or you could probably pick them up at a craft store. And the succulents that I'm using are from Dollar Tree. So all I'm doing here is I'm just marking where I want to put my little wood rings, and I'm just using my ruler to mark the other one to make sure that they're level with each other. And then I'm going to take this little tool that I picked up at Dollar Tree. It's just like a little needle on the end. And I'm going to go ahead and make 2 holes, one below and one above the wood ring. And then I'm going to go ahead and hot glue my wood rings down just so they don't move while I'm trying to wrap them. To actually attach the wood rings, I'm going to be using some of this Dollar Tree twine. Now, originally, you can see there's a needle laying there. It's like a yarn needle. I thought I was going to use that, but it just wouldn't work. So I ended up having to just tape the ends of my twine, and then I was able to put those through the hole. And once I finally got it through the holes, I just went ahead and I tied it really tight, and then I just cut the ends of that twine off, and I did that on both of these. Then I just added in my Dollar Tree succulents, and here's how they turned out. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.